afternoon and welcome to this webinar by Citizen Matters Mumbai. First, a quick introduction of Citizen Matters for those who are joining us for the very first time. Citizen Matters is a civic media platform that looks at critical urban issues, ideas, and solutions for better cities. We dive deep into issues that affect the quality of life, including topics such as water, commute, public safety, air quality, governance, education, environment, local economy, and many more topics. Our work has made a difference on the ground in getting more people involved and in catalyzing change. Citizen Matters is supported by Urvani Foundation, which is a non-profit trust. And some of our other initiatives include Open City, which is an open data platform, and India Together, which is a development journal. At present, Citizen Matters has 3 dedicated chapters in Bengaluru, Chennai, and Mumbai. We also publish articles related to policy and practice relevant to cities across India. Our Mumbai chapter is our newest, which launched on July 18, 2020, amidst the constraints of pandemic. And we wouldn't have been here without all of your support, of course. Our work is defined by our collaborative model, which is we have professional journalists, experts, practitioners, and citizen contributors who share stories. And do check us online and on our social media. We'll share the links with you in the chat box. And I'll now hand over to Radha.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to thank all of you for joining today's panel discussion on fire safety. So the planning for this discussion started after the unfortunate fire incident at the 60-story Avigna Park in Lower Parel about 3 weeks ago. Subsequently, we've also had a few more incidents like those in Bandra, Kandivali, and the most recent one being in Mankhurd scrapyard today. It is evident that we do not have uniform fire safety regulations or the appropriate infrastructure to prevent these tragedies from happening. And we need to ask for accountability. In today's webinar, we will be discussing the whys and the hows of fire safety in Mumbai. I would now like to hand you over to Aarti Mane, who is community anchor at Citizen Matters Mumbai and the moderator for today's discussion. Over to you, Aarti.
Thank you, Radha, and welcome everybody. Now, as we all know, fires can happen anywhere. In independent homes, in flats, slum colonies, offices, factories, godowns, and like scrapyards, as we saw. In fact, even on hills and in forests. Now, there are 2 parts to fire safety. One is the citizen end, and the other is the governance end. Both of these are equally important to make our day-to-day life safe. So to talk about these, we have 2 very eminent Mumbaikars with us. Mr. Hemant Parab is the Chief Fire Officer of the Mumbai Fire Brigade. He took charge in June of 2021. And he has served in the department for over 32 years. So you can imagine that he has with him rich experience, hands-on experience in the fire department. And he is very qualified to handle the different complex situations that a city like handling a fire in a city as ours is. Mr. Chandrasekhar Prabhu is an architect, urban planner, housing activist, visiting faculty, and he's been closely involved with several infrastructural authorities. For example, SEEPS, MADA, BMRDA, which is now MMRDA. He's currently on the board of the slum rehabilitation. Now, when you search him online, the first thing that appears is an Indian politician. Yes, he was an MLA. In fact, when he was in the assembly in 1985, he was at that point the youngest MLA to get elected. So he is well acquainted with the spectrum of issues in housing in Mumbai. We are structuring this panel discussion by asking a few questions to our experts, after which we will have questions from you participants fielded. So please type in your questions in the chat box on Zoom or on Facebook Live. And at the end of this, we will address the questions to our experts. Now, we know that Mumbai's infrastructure is struggling to keep up with the people, and the firefighting infrastructure is no exception. We'll come to that infrastructure towards the latter part of this discussion. To start with, let's see how we as citizens can prevent fires in the first place without having to fight them. Something like, in the context of minimizing the chance of getting ill rather than finding a hospital bed. So, Mr. Parab, Mr. Chandrasekhar Prabhu, we really thank you for spending your valuable afternoon with us today. Mr. Parab, to start with, the first question, could that fire at the 60-story Avigna Park, or maybe the one that was in Kandivali a few days ago where unfortunately 2 people died, could they have been prevented in any way?
Yes, these fires could have been prevented if proper precaution has been taken in advance. As you rightly said, prevention is better than cure. So it's in the case of building or where we reside in it also. It is necessary to avoid. Otherwise, what we can do, we can minimize wherever we find hazard. Right now, what you have said in Avigna Park, what we have seen is large amount of wooden cladding is being used. Now, buildings, if you find, these are RCC, but if we add to it, if we put wall cladding on it, if we put more material which can catch fire, using the household articles which can catch fire, so it leads to that extent. So what we have find over here is that wooden cladding, large amount of wooden material was used. Wooden claddings were used on the walls. So it made fire to propagate into whole of the plant. And if you see that fire was occurred in the afternoon session. So the wind velocity was also there. That was also one of the reason. And if you see that building, you will find that it is open from all sides. So wind velocity also played a major role in that. So that was the reason that the fire whole flat got burnt into it, and whole flat got affected into it. What in addition to that, what we have observed in it, that the interiors, what the occupant are doing, that also we are finding it is more towards decorative thing. But when you use these decorative things, you also have to think of if in case it catches fire, what will happen. So we'll have to think while doing these kinds of decorative things or interior things, we'll have to take care of this. Otherwise, these small things, like here also what we have observed is a short circuit was there to one of the wall where the main switch was, distribution board was there, and it started from that particular point and then it propagated to the whole of the flat, including the wardrobes what they have used. At every house we will find the household articles are there, but here wooden material was used to the large extent, and it caused fire to propagate and spread all over the flat. Because of this reason, whole flat got gutted into the fire, and the fire traveled to upward also. But then the fire traveling to upward was checked, and the fire remained confined to that particular flat. But the electrical things what he had done, that it is under investigation. But the main cause of fire was defective electric circuit, and the propagation of fire was due to the wooden claddings or wooden material which was used into that particular building. And the interiors, what he has done, it made fire to propagate further, and it damaged whole of the flat.
Yeah, so thank you, sir, for that really detailed explanation of how that fire possibly could have been averted. it's very difficult to sort of control what people use in a flat. And a housing society, everybody is dependent on everybody else, right? Because if something goes wrong in one flat, it affects so many other people. Mr. Prabhu, as an architect and a town planner, uh, we've heard that recently a few societies started doing checks in their apartments. Like they've been sending their electrician to just check all the points to see if there's leakage of electricity in any places, checking gas connections. Are these useful? And what are the different checks that, in your opinion, a society needs to do uh, to sort of prevent the occurrence of chances of occurrence of a fire?
First
Mr.
of all,
Prabhu.
let me, am I unmuted? Yes. First of all, let me give some overview again on the basis of what Mr. Parab had said. There are various materials that can be used within the flat for storage, for cladding. And unfortunately, wood is just one of the material, and the tendency of wood to catch fire is there. However, in place of wood, if the cladding would have been synthetic, the chances of it catching fire would have been 20 times that of wood. So compared to the other materials that you put for cladding, wood is lesser prone to fire. So technically, as an expert, as a person who has been teaching interior decoration, as a person who understands materials very well, wood is not amongst the most combustible materials. And wood, if to wood you have a melamine coating, then the resistance to fire of melamine is substantial. In fact, melamine is considered to be one of the most important fire retardant. So if a wood is given 3 coats of melamine, then wood doesn't catch fire. Compared to alternative materials, wood means wood, plywood, veneer, and wood related items. So the plywood catches fire faster. If it's pure wood, then it catches fire slowly and it converts itself into coal. Whereas the new latest cladding materials for wall and for decoration are petroleum based, which catch fire directly. Even acrylic catches fire, and all other petroleum based materials catch fire. So it is not the material. If a fire has to catch, whatever be the cladding, it will catch fire. You can't have a fireproof cladding in a flat. And for decoration, we are in a democracy. You cannot control over that. In this particular case, the wood may not have been treated or whatever. I would not go into it because I have not personally investigated. But wood per se is not a very combustible material. There are many more combustible materials than wood. So let me clarify on that first. Second thing is, the earlier days, there was a problem of electric circuits breaking and all that. Now for every single circuit, you have a circuit breaker, you have a fuse, saying that anywhere there is a short circuit, the fuse trips and the line for that area which has a short circuit becomes devoid of electricity. So if those kind of fuses to stop the short circuit within 5 to 10 seconds from them being detected are installed in every house, then there is no way in which there would be fire due to electricity. I don't think those kind of circuit breakers may have been installed, or if at all they were installed, they were not in functional condition, or if they were in functional condition, then they were of inferior quality, and so they did not do their job. So for every part, every room of the flat, there should be a circuit breaker, there should be a fuse, and if there is any kind of electrical problem, then the electricity to that part would automatically be stopped. And if that happens, fire due to electric wiring doesn't take place. So there is adequate technology, and it's not expensive at all. These small circuit breakers cost about 800 to 1,000 rupees, and the most sophisticated ones don't cost more than 2 to 3,000 rupees, and that for a safety of a flat is not a big amount, and that could be done. With regard to gas, if it's a gas cylinder, then the risk is more. But in Mumbai, most of the flats have got piped gas, and the chances of piped gas catching fire are much less compared to the cylinder fire. And the chances of shutting down the piped gas with the first spark, immediately there is a master meter which can be shut down outside the flat, or for the floor, or for a few floors put together, or if necessary for the entire wing, or in worst cases for the whole building. So the gas can be stopped. So gas and electricity doesn't become a major source if adequate care is taken when the installation is done, and it doesn't really cost much. So even the poor of the poorest can afford these kind of measures. But such measures are not taken because people who buy flats for 5 crore and 10 crore feel that they know everything, and they buy flats worth 10 crores or 5 crores, but do not put in a small circuit breaker worth 1,000 rupees. It's penny wise, pound foolish, and that's what creates most of these problems.
Here I would like to add. So what has happened in that particular case over here is, as rightly sir said, is wood directly doesn't catch fire, but the wood treated with varnish like thing, it spreads the fire very fast. And the thing is that the person who had bought these flat, he carried out the interior for last 6 months, and he has shifted from his original house to this in a recent period. So this varnish what they are using on the wood, that is what makes it more propagative thing, and it chances of spreading of fire is more there. Moreover, in such finishes, the chances of fire spread is more over here. Now another thing what I would like here to add is that the short circuit, when it short circuit happens, the ELCB, it was there, it gets stripped, it was stripped. But the thing is that when spark occurs, it falls on some combustible material, it starts the fire, it triggers the fire. And if we are able to instantly act upon it and attend to it by use of extinguisher or some other means, then we are able to control it. But once it catches and spreads, then it becomes beyond the control of the occupant, and then the fire brigade comes into the picture. But the time which lacks, these times helps fire to spread the things, and same thing has happened over here. So next thing what sir has said, PNG, yet rightly it has been PNG in the same building, PNG was used. Two things are there right in front of us. In Abhigna Park, PNG was used. We have closed the riser main wall, and that hazard was not there at all. But if you find the Kandivali case where fire has occurred in the unsized building, there LPG was being used, and that LPG gas also, the leaked gas, all the cylinder came in contact, and then explosion was there, and then fire traveled from lower kitchen to the upper next 15th floor flat also. So these two different things are there. PNG has to be used since it's a safer one, and we can close from the ground floor level. So it is safer than LPG gas. What in Abhigna Park, PNG was being in use, and in Kandivali residential building, LPG was in use. And the difference what is there right in front of you, must have seen where both the videos and how the fire has flared up from the 14th floor to 15th floor. That also you have seen in the Kandivali case. And in Abhigna Park, fire has traveled from 19th to 28th for the reason what I have mentioned earlier now.
Yeah, right. Now, all right, we take every precaution we can to reduce the chances of fire in the house. But in the event that a fire does happen, what are the things that we need to do? I would like to bring in Miss Cheryl Ribello here. Cheryl is a part of the executive committee of Beyond Carlton, one of the pioneers in promoting fire safety. Cheryl, you have been working with different apartment groups in Bangalore. And what are the things that you do in order to help people address fires when they do happen? At this point, I'd like to just bring to your notice, there was a video doing the social media rounds the last couple of days. It was of two little boys on the top of a very tall building, and they were jumping across the parapets. And this was being circulated, and it said, "This is why we lock the terrace doors." And it made me feel a little uncomfortable, because I always keep telling people that you need to keep the terrace doors open, because in chance of a fire that you need to, it's a place where you can escape. But this was something which I was not able to handle myself, not able to explain to people, because we found these children on the top of a parapet and this was being circulated. So everybody was checking to see that the doors are locked of all the high-rise buildings in the area, that the doors are locked. So we also see that, lives are lost because staircases are blocked. There are grills in the house. It's difficult to access. So Cheryl, from your end, what have you all been advocating for apartments?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the question is very pointed, and a couple of things just to step back a little bit is that with the statistics that are there right now of 97.54% deficiency in fire stations, 80.04% on the fire vehicles deficiency, 96.28% deficiency in terms of fire personnel. This is the kind of the kind of capacity we are looking at to respond from the department side. So the story really is about the citizen preventing it, because there is no way even the citizen can get that kind of a response. The response times become delayed, become impossible for the department. So in terms of what are we doing, we have launched a program in Bangalore, which is comprehensively looking at helping the citizen to respond, to firstly prevent. The larger part of our focus is on prevention. And then of course, talking about the aspects that you mentioned, which are always a little bit of a discussion between the management committee and the citizen, the residents of the building, as to whether the door should be closed on the, on the terrace, etc. But specifically to say, we run a session called the Be Fire Safe, which talks about various aspects of fire itself. Okay, so it has 6 modules, and what is basically introducing fire, because citizens are not trained in or have very little practice of responding or even knowing about fire. So we start with that, and we go on to say, in case, we also do kind of mock sessions to say, if there is a fire, how do you speak to your fire station, for example? What kind of language does one need to have to be able to call up 101, be able to locate yourself in the building, talk about the residential areas around your building. So these are some of the things that we try to do through the Be Fire Safe modules from Beyond Carlton, which is, we do it along with the Bangalore Apartments Federation, where the Apartments Federation has prioritized fire safety among many things that the citizens also want to do, among other programs which are offered from the Bangalore Apartments Federation. So yeah, so I would say that really awareness spreading right now is pretty much at the nascent stage. We have many apartments now phoning us to say, how do we firstly assess the current state of our building fire safety methods? Are we fire safe enough in the first place before we can even think of response? the questions that we are getting, people reaching out to us right now, and it's quite a few people who are reaching out from across Bangalore after the Bannerghatta fire incident in Bengaluru. We have people reaching out to say, we have zero fire preparedness in this building. It's a 6-year-old building. We have zero fire preparedness. We don't, all we have is yesterday we bought a first aid kit. You know, somebody else says we have fire equipment, we have fire preparedness, but people in the building do not know anything about the fire systems in the building. People do not know how to use an extinguisher. They do not know that there are, you know, what is the fire hydrant system in the building? You know, where is the pump room? What do I need to look for in my extinguisher? So there is very little response preparedness at one level, and at the very base level, it is about understanding what exists and what can we do. Okay, I'll stop there.
May I intervene here a bit? You know, when we talk of fire preparedness and fire safety, we should desist from comparing one city with the other, because our cities are completely different. Their requirements are different. Their growth pattern is different. Their urbanization processes are different. Their infrastructure is different. Their budgeting is different. Their fire fighting systems are different. So they cannot really, like for instance, 425 square kilometers of Mumbai cannot be compared with 3,800 square kilometers of, say, in Delhi or something. So when 1 crore people are put in 400 square kilometers, then the density of the people becomes so much that the problems of infrastructure are different. We are blessed in Mumbai with one of the very good and efficient firefighting machinery. And by machinery, I'm talking of firefighters. We have the best of firefighters. Unfortunately, they are not equipped with the kind of sophisticated equipments we need to that. We are slowly equipping them. But our firefighters, the individuals who are working in the fire brigade, are so well trained and so committed to the job. They reach on time and they throw themselves at the fire. We have, I have seen time and again, I've been in public life for over 35, 40 years and interacted with successive fire chiefs. And like you said, 97% inadequacies. As far as personnel is concerned in Mumbai, it cannot be compared with any other city because we have the best training and best people. Yes, the rate at which the high-rises are increasing, if at 5 places in different parts of the city, the high-rises catch fire, then perhaps the fire brigade doesn't have the equipment to reach in all these places at the same time and do what they want to. That is agreed. But that brings us to different really questions, and one city's issues cannot really be discussed with the other because they are differently. I've been involved in studying all the metro cities in the country and also abroad, and my students are doing effective research on urban issues, including firefighting, water supply, and all that, for their masters and for their PhD, which I guide. And I have found that each city has its own problems and their problems need to be settled at a city level. And you can't have a intra-city discussion with problems of one city being addressed by solutions of the other. So the issues like density, issues like budget, issues like capacity. For instance, the Mumbai Municipal Corporation's budget is much more than the state budget of 20 states in the country. So, for instance, an entire state's budget may be lesser than Mumbai Municipal Corporation's budget. Not just the actual budget, but ancillary investments that happen. So these are things which cannot be compared. So each city will have to be looked from its own point of view. and solutions would have to be found at a micro level within the city and then addressed at that level.
Yes, I would like to add here something. Yes, right. As sir has said, we have in Mumbai, we have 35 fire stations and 18 mini fire stations are there. Now, these mini fire stations we have added to our main fire station to reduce the response time. So, in fact, we will be going further to have fire bikes also, so that we can have earlier reach to the incident and immediately professional things can be done at the site. So, whatever help required, it can be asked for at early stage. So that way we are proceeding, and we have 2,500 plus manpower is there. Again, we have various appliances like right from 24-meter ladder to 90-meter ladder. So these equipments are there with us. So only thing what we require is little bit of awareness so that we can arrest the fire, or we will be able to stop the fire at the initial stage. So that public awareness is very much important, what I see from the our discussion. So that has to be done so that the prevention can be attained, or even if something goes wrong, it can be attained at the early stage. And level of fire, as we have stop message L1, L2, L3 and so on. So accordingly, the number help of machinery and manpower goes on increasing. So we can reduce it to at a minimum level, and we can stop the fire at the early stage. So it is possible when public awareness is there, when people get involved into it, and fire safety awareness goes to people, and how we can prevent the better way fire, that has to be adopted. So if everyone starts doing it, we can stop the fire at the early stage.
Yeah, Mr. Hemant Parab, now in order to be able to stop the fire at the earliest, the buildings need to be fire compliant, right? What does actually that fire compliance mean, and how do you all do the audits? Because when a building comes up, you inspect, you give NOC. Then with time, I mean, people violate it, isn't it? And then they are not fire compliant. So what is the process that you follow? How do you ensure that buildings are fire compliant, and how do you do your audits?
Yeah, what we are carrying out the inspections. It is not the audit. We carry out the inspections. Now we are issuing NOCs, what you have rightly said. We are stipulating the fire safety requirement at the planning stage of the building. So these requirements has to be fulfilled by the developer before issuing the compliance. So while issuing the requirements are, and then only what we find is that after issuing the compliance, the pumps, because these are also machines, so these machines, these pumps has to be maintained, system has to be maintained. So we are lacking some. So the system is installed to use because of non-maintenance of the. So that is where we are residing in the societies has to take this into consideration, and they'll have to see that whatever system has been put into the building has to be kept in good working condition. Yes, ma'am.
No, there is another thing that I want to add. Mr. Parab just told us that the Bombay Fire Brigade has 30 meters of 30 meters. Am I right, Mr. Parab? The ladders.
Right from 24 meter to 90 meters. Maximum is
to 90 meters. That is 30
yes,
stories. Your tallest ladder is 90 meter. Now there are buildings which are more than 90 meters, which are 150 meters, which are 200 meters.
Yes.
Now, if there is a fire at the level of 100 meters, then there is very little your ladders can do, because your ladder can go only up to 90 meters. So that this is not your problem. Giving permissions to higher buildings is the development control regulation problem. It is not the fire brigade problem. But while making the development control regulation, if it is thought that permission should be given only to such heights wherein fire brigade can safely and easily reach, then your task can be made a bit easier and the residents can be more safe. If your height is 90 meters, the maximum height, and the building is 200 meters, then how can you reach that level? Of course, that is not your problem. Whether it is 200 meters or 100 meters or 300 meters, you have to go there and do the firefighting. But it's like a three-legged race, wherein if you are not given the adequate equipment to reach that much height, then you'll have to pump the water, throw it, personally go, which will be risky for your personnel also. So while making the development control regulations, the conditions should be stipulated that depending on the kind of capacity of the fire brigade to reach what heights, such heights only may be permitted, so that it becomes easier for the fire brigade.
Yes, rightly what you have said is right, sir. But then if you see whatever the requirements, what we are stipulating the building, it has got the all the requirements like sprinklers, risers are being installed into the building. The sprinklers are there to arrest the fire wherever it originates. But the thing what happens is that if these systems are not maintained properly, then these things arises. If the sprinklers, the system is maintained properly, these things, because the building has to fight itself. All the building firefighting is being done from internal. What we are doing is the additional thing. Building has to fight itself. And for that purpose, the installation in the building has to be maintained properly. And it is not that we have only 90 meters ladder. The maximum ladder in the world is 112 meters. Nothing about that. But then you find the building about that also. The reason behind is that the stipulating requirement has to be complied in that particular building, and if it is maintained properly, the chances of spread of fire will not be there. Even the alarms are there, detections are there. They will give alarm at the initial stage so that people also can start evacuation at the early stage. So these things are taken care of. Only thing is that it has to be maintained properly, and again it ball goes into the residents' code, and that system has to be maintained properly. Then only these things can be avoided very easily.
Mr. Parab, I have had the experience of teaching and working not only in Mumbai, but in places like New York and Los Angeles also, where I go to teach in the universities, and I have examined their firefighting systems. And they not just have higher ladders, they have a booster capacity of pumps which go to the highest ladder, and from there the capacity of the pump is to throw the water for 100 more meters higher than what the topmost ladder reaches. Plus, with New York Fire Brigade and all the fire brigade in America, there are 26 helicopters which in case of fire go to those buildings at different level, not just to spray fire retardant solutions into the areas where fire is, not just to stop the fire, but also to evacuate people who have been trapped. So let us admit that though our personnel are good, though your team is well trained, but we still have a long way to go to be fully prepared like other cities where there are high rises. We are giving permission a little faster than our capacity to meet the... I have been in politics. Fortunately, I am no more in politics last 20 years. but I have seen politics from close quarters. So you will not expect me to talk about what happens there. But I am personal witness to what. So when it comes to giving more permissions, we are always under pressure to go higher and higher, irrespective. And then finally, you have to suffer because you have to take your personnel and go there and face the people. But the ones who give permissions are not. I have seen one building where work is going on now in a very congested area where they have permitted 29 FSI. FSI of 29. And I have inspected, I took it to the commissioner, but commissioner said that because the metro station is coming nearby and so many people have to be re-accommodated in that, we had to give that kind. Now with that kind of density, assuming you have 90 meter or even 120 meter, if so dense, that kind of density happens, then you will reach there on time, but the fire will also spread due to the dense this thing. So it is a urban planning issue, which fire brigade doesn't have anything to do. And we will discuss the urban planning as to how the densities should be kept under control and if they cannot be controlled. And that is not within your domain. I understand you're doing whatever best you can do in the given circumstances. But as urban planners and urban designers, we are aware of what are the things which need to be done to make the fire brigade's life a bit easier.
Yes.
Right, sir.
At this point, I'd like to bring in Mr. Shashikant Mishra. Mr. Mishra is a retired naval officer, and he lives in an apartment complex in Kandivali, and he helps them in managing their fire systems. So let's hear about what they do in order to try to be fire compliant and fire ready.
Thank you, Aarti. Jai Hind. I am very happy that we are talking very sense. For a city like Mumbai, what Prabhu sir said, it's a dense and fire risk is more. And what Parab sir said, our experts in Mumbai Fire Brigade, a lot of good inputs are coming. I have a point to share. As a member of society, on 26th January and 15th August, we have festival, national festival. Most of the members, they come down, families. After that, we do the instruction on firefighting, basic awareness that look, do the prevention, avoid the material which is waste and risk to fire. And number two, we do some practical mock drills and make the people to do. We all know in theory, we all read here and there, we go to multiplex and we do everything, but somewhere practical training and mock drill is must. That will make awareness. And one very important point which was mentioned, that electrical fittings. Now the interior is done, load is more, and if you don't fit the MCB, ELCBs, then this electrical risk will be there. So for that, society can put some standing order that look, this is what minimum you have to do in your home, and we will come and check inside your home. So outside society is being taken care. And last point, our firefighting, Parab sir, high-rise building, all our that water systems and all, agar hum usko chalayenge hi nahi, ek aad baar operate hi nahi karenge, to in emergency how reliable it is, we don't know. So once in a year, I believe with our vendor who does the maintenance, we can operate this and prove somewhere, with preparedness. Thank you.
I must give an anecdote on a lighter this thing. You see, I was on the committee long time ago for to ensure that burglaries don't happen in the banks. So we decided that if the bank, some burglars come or somebody comes with a gun or something, there should be some system like a fire alarm, which any employee by his leg also can trigger off. And there will be a loud siren-like noise. And the people from the neighborhood will rush to the bank and catch hold of the culprit. That was the idea. It was a very noble idea, good idea. We installed it in a few banks and we wanted to have a mock trial. And in the most dense areas of Kalba Devi, I personally was present at a trial wherein we had a mock people with masks. In those days, there was no COVID, but still mask was where and with bogus weapons, they were sent in. And then, we found out how the branch will react to it. So, as usual, one of the employees set the alarm, and the alarm went off loudly. And instead of the outside people coming in, what we found that all the branch employees ran away from the branch, and there was nobody in the branch. So if really there would have been a burglary, what would have happened is the robbers would have got everything in the branch because everyone was scared. So a measure which was meant to help people to come to the branch to catch hold of the robbers worked exactly opposite. So similarly also in firefighting, the psychology of the people needs to be considered, and how they will react to what situation, because tendency to panic is always there in cooperative societies. So we should arrange it in such a way that there is less panic and people are cool-headed when they take decisions in the matter.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mr. Prabhu and Mr. Mishra, for your inputs. We are at 4:45 now. So the part about the infrastructure, which we were planning to address towards the latter part of the discussion, I think we've already addressed it in terms of how the firefighting infrastructure can take only up to a certain height. And I think it's just a matter of regulating the sanctions of buildings and being a little bit more realistic. Like Mr. Prabhu was mentioning to me some time ago during a different conversation, he said in other parts of the world, the fire infrastructure is first put in place and then only sanctions are given. And here we are working the other way. So this, of course, is not a problem of either the fire department or of us, but this is something which those in power will need to actually look at. Let's start, and we'll start looking at the questions from different people. Mr. Parab, is the Mumbai Fire Force doing anything in collaboration with apartments or societies to reduce the chances of fire and to prevent fire, for fire compliance? Are there any programs currently in place?
Yes, we do. Yes, we are carrying out the inspections. We instruct the people in the building, we instruct the societies, we try to ask them to conduct the mock drills. Sometimes we issue wherever we find the lackings or fire safety measures, we take action, and as per Fire Act, we make them to do the right things like putting that equipment into order so that in case when it needed, it can be used by them and fire brigade also. So we are trying our way.
Now, if an apartment society is not fire compliant, like one of the very recent fires, I think it was the Kandivali one, which they found that the equipment is not in place, I think, and the apartment is not prepared to tackle a fire. It doesn't have the infrastructure. How did it reach such a point?
Right, infrastructure was there, system was there, but it was the firefighting system installations were there, but they were not maintained properly. As a result, they couldn't be put into use when they really required to put into use. So what we had to do, like risers are there in the building. If it is maintained properly, what fireman will do or the resident can do, they can put that hosiery hose. If they see the fire, they can use that hosiery hose and they can start firefighting. What fireman will do, he can connect the hose directly or the landing to that particular floor and start firefighting. But if the system is not in working, if the pump is not maintained properly, what has happened in that Kandivali case, so what fireman has to do, he has to lay the hoses right from ground floor, from fire engine to the topmost, where in this case 14th floor fire was there. So they have to lay the hoses from ground floor for pumping unit to the 14th floor through the staircase, and then they get the required pressure at the nozzle, and then they start firefighting. So the time which is required to lay the hoses right from ground floor to 14th floor, that makes fire to spread very fast, and then further things happen. As more and more things get into the fire spread very rapidly. So these are things, if these systems are maintained properly, it will be easier for the occupant, it will be easier for firemen also to use it and douse the fire at the early stage.
Yes, but sir, this is not something which would have happened overnight, right? This is over a period of time. So what happened to the periodic inspections? I mean, aren't buildings supposed to check their system and follow some sort of rules and say that we have checked our system? Is there not some yearly method by which you'll audit buildings, or they have to audit and submit to you and say that everything is in place? Because this is not something which would have happened like in the last 6 months or something, right? It's deteriorated over a period of time.
Right, it has to be audited. It has to be.
Need to have, right?
Yes, it has to be done by the license agency. License agencies are appointed with the government of Maharashtra, and these license agencies carry out these inspections. They maintain this equipment, and as per the act, they have to submit. So they have to submit their inspection report in the form of Form B to the fire brigade office, stating that the system installed in the building is working properly. So that certificate has to be produced by each and every building, or very high-rise building or a commercial building where firefighting system has been installed. So that will be a one part where the license agency, this is the third party audit, you can say, who carry out these things. They check the equipment and then submit these report to the fire brigade. That shows that the building has the inspection has been done by the license agency, and they have seen that the system installed in the building is in working condition, and for that purpose they submit that working condition report to fire brigade office.
Yeah, so sir, if the building is not submitting this, then is there anything that you do? Is there any penalty? Do they lose their occupation certificate? I mean, there has to be some rule, right? Because otherwise, who will care to be fire compliant? See, it's not like garbage and water supply and electric supply, right? Fires happen rarely. So people are very lax about it. And unless the rules are very firm and in place, then they will continue to be like this. And as we've seen, awareness is low. So from the fire department side, is there something within your power where, you tell them that, see, you'll have a list of all the buildings, right? And you know that which building has submitted this. Now, if it's not submitted, is there some penalty? Do you all go inspect? I mean, what is the process?
Yes, we are carrying out the inspections, random inspections we are carrying out, and then we issue the notices to such a buildings where we find some inadequacies or where the system is not put into working condition or not in a good working condition. There we issue notices to such a building, and then they submit the report of compliance, or where the compliance report is not submitted, we carry out the legal actions to such a building.
Mr. Prabhu, is there some plan or something in existence where, apartments can be sort of educated on this? Because obviously every society has an MC that takes care of the maintenance of the building. They have people living there who go in day in and day out. Do they not see that things are not in place if there is a fire? I mean, how can we improve awareness of people?
See, it is not just the question of awareness. In Mumbai, which has the maximum number of cooperative housing societies anywhere in India, we find that so many people in the most plush cooperative housing societies are defaulters. We visited one of the cooperative housing societies where the average income per month of the family is 10 to 15 lakhs per family. And do you know that how much it's a 25-storied building, and do you know how much they were not paying the municipal taxes? So we went and met the people, and we found that 5 crore 85 lakhs rupees are being defaulted by the members. They are just not paying their maintenance. So there is an apathy on the part of the people also, who on one hand, there are poor people who cannot afford to pay the maintenance. On the other hand, there are rich people who don't care or bother to pay the maintenance. So if you don't pay your basic maintenance, why would you bother about other things which talk about safety? I mean, simple thing, you are enjoying the water supply, you are enjoying the common electricity, you are enjoying the lift, which are to be maintained, and the money that is spent for that maintenance and cleanliness of the society, even that the members are not willing to pay. Not just those who cannot afford it, but those who have the money also don't pay. So there is this apathy. So that apathy has to be overcome, and people have to be told that, look, it is for your benefit that you pay the maintenance tax. It's for your benefit that you have the fire safety. It's for your benefit that you ensure that the water supply is disconnected after the tank is filled and more water doesn't flow away. It is not just the question of money, it's also the question of saving the resources of the earth, and all the resources are important. But that doesn't really happen. And if anyone like us go to educate them, they feel that they are more educated than us and they don't require any lectures from us.
Yeah, that's a task on our hands. So I think all of us have work to do on that front. There is a question which has popped up. Now, a lot of the compliances are for new constructions, right? But there are many buildings which are fairly old, which may not have certain infrastructure in place. Is there anything which applies to them, Mr. Prabhu?
No, there are no laws, but nothing stops the society from putting up fire extinguishers at every floor, outside every flat, giving one fire extinguisher per flat. All those things can be done. And then also eviction processes must be put into place. In Israel, there is a compulsory rule. It's a country which is always torn by strife, and you don't know when there will be a bomb in your building and when there will be a bomb scare and when there will be fire. So every flat is equipped with an equipment so that you wear the equipment and you just jump from the window with that equipment and it takes you down to the ground floor in 10 or 15 seconds safely, so that even if anything were to happen to the building, at least the lives are saved. Then there are systems of fire chutes and other things, which even in old buildings, people can install. There are several buildings which are 4-storied, 5-storied with senior citizens, but in the old days, they don't have a lift. So the government has made the rules that in such buildings, if they want to install a lift, even now, though there is none, they will give sanction to installation of lifts in such building. So all this needs to be changed. And one law must be immediately changed. I think Mr. Parab can tell this to the municipal commissioner because I have written to it. We have in Mumbai a total of nearly 286,000 commercial premises on the ground floor of different buildings. Now, under the existing rules, every commercial premises need not have a toilet with a water supply there. On every floor, there is a common toilet on the ground floor for the commercial people. getting permission for the toilet for the commercial people is a major problem. And with senior citizens, especially in COVID, common toilet pose a major hazard. So I had recommended to the municipal commissioner very clearly that any commercial premises on a ground floor which is in a stable condition, which is not going to collapse, if the owner of the commercial premises wants to apply for a tap and start a small toilet there, it should be immediately permitted, so that once the toilet is there, once the tap is there, within the premises there is a fire safety, and from that tap a pipe can be connected, and at least if every commercial premises takes care of their own fire safety, then the city will be much more safer. Now, these are simple things which need to be done, and simple things. So I got a reply from the municipal commissioner saying that yes, under the existing rule, we can give permission to every shop owner, but they have to apply, they have to submit the plan, they have to submit NOC from society and all that. And all these procedures take so much time. And then, you know, the citizens dread getting permissions from the municipal corporation for obvious reasons. And so such permissions are not given. But if there is a blanket permission that you don't have to come to us, if you need a connection, pay X amount of money to the municipal corporation, you get a water connection, you install a small makeshift toilet within the premises and ensure that fire safety is managed for your this thing. Then half the problem of the fire would be taken care of by the citizens themselves. But, you know, all this paraphernalia of permission involves, as you know, give and take of, what they call speed money. And due to that, the premises owners are not willing to apply for permissions, and then the permissions don't happen. And so with a stroke of pen, the commissioner can say, you don't have to come to us for any permissions. As long as the building is strong and stable and it can take that extra water supply, and as long as you are willing to pay for that extra water connection, and as long as that area has that water connection, install the toilet in your commercial premises. So these are kind of things that the government can immediately take, and not only will it help the fire safety, it also helps in the pandemic. It also helps to keep the premises clean and safe, and it is in the overall in the better interest of the cities.
Yes, thank you, sir. I'd like to we have crossed 5 o'clock now, and we don't want to extend the time because we realize that Mr. Parab is an extremely busy man, as is Mr. Prabhu. Mr. Parab, would you like to make some closing remarks before we end?
Hey, I would like to close it with the awareness what you are starting. It should reach to each and every person. By this, we can reach to them, and we can aware each, and because we are also having every Saturday, we are having the fire volunteer Agni Rakshak program, where we train the people from our own community, so that they, in case of fire, if something goes wrong, they'll be trained. If they need help of fire brigade, how they can call. When fire brigade reaches, what is expected from them. So I would like, or I would request everyone to, those who are able to attend, should attend these programs and get the benefit of it. And they can, by doing this, they can help themselves. So I really request through your platform to get the Agni Rakshak program, to join the Agni Rakshak program and make awareness about the fire safety.
Yes, sir, that we definitely will. We will look up online. I recall having seen something about this Agni Rakshak, and thanks so much for bringing it to our notice today. Meera, would you like to just say some closing remarks before we end the session? Apologies to those who posted questions that we couldn't ask. We've noted them down, and we will try to address them at a later point. Over to you, Meera. Thank you so much, Mr. Parab, and Mr. Prabhu, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Aarti. Thank you a lot, Mr. Parab and Mr. Prabhu. It was a very insightful and enlightening session. We've learned a lot, and we are happy to continue, sharing this information. We will be creating a lot of explainers and information resources for the use of public. And over the next, few months, we hope to look into deeper issues of not just public safety as well as, other civic, topics. And we work towards getting more and more people involved in these issues. And we hope to see Mumbai population residents getting involved and making Mumbai a better city. Thank you all. Thank you, everybody.